I'm hiking 11 miles through ancient lava fields, avoiding massive fissures and exploring undocumented caves. And I'm doing it all to try and find the source of this ancient volcano. This video is going to be awesome. Look how otherworldly this looks. It's really incredible. So the wayfinding can be a little bit tricky out here. I'm just going to the next pole. There's one right out there. Also, it's looking like I'm the only person on the trail today. They want me to cross this thing? That's crazy. There's this really awesome volcanic vent. It's about a 10-mile round-trip hike across some very rough terrain. But my goal today is to be able to eat lunch there. I think we can make it. Wow, that looks really fun, but I think I'm gonna go around. Yeah, this looks a little bit better. Alright, I've gone about 2.5 miles according to my watch, so I think it's time for a snack. Well, that's discouraging. It says 2 miles. My watch says 2.73 miles. I must have gotten lost a lot more than I thought. This day might turn out to be a little bit longer than I planned. These juniper trees are so cool. I wonder how old they are. I honestly don't know how old juniper trees get, so I'll put that up on the screen. All right, now we're talking. Now we're actually at 3 miles. My watch says 3.75 miles. I think we stuck to the trail pretty well that mile. I realized part of the extra mileage I'm picking up is probably because every time I film myself hiking, I have to hike back to pick up my camera. So that's at least part of it. All right, if you look all the way out there on the horizon, there's a little bump. That's a shield volcano, and that's what we're heading for. This is kind of interesting. Look, this rock that I'm standing on, it's completely hollow. So 5,000 years ago, when the lava was flowing through here, the outside hardened before the inside, and so as the inside flowed out, there was a cavern left. That's actually the same way those big lava tube caves formed. I actually know about at least 2 large lava caves up here by the summit. I'm hoping we can at least find one of them. It's kind of interesting, as we get closer to the summit, there's more and more juniper trees. It's almost turning into a little forest. Bad news is, it's now even harder to find where the next marker is. Yeah, I have no idea where it is. That's the last one. If we just draw a straight line, we're just gonna go in that direction. Oh, look at that. It's hiding behind the tree. If you look behind me, there's a really big volcano over there. There's another one over there. And just, you can't really see it in camera, but just past our summit, there's another really big volcano over there. Even though we're hundreds of miles from the nearest fault line, the North American plate, as it moves, it kind of catches and drags at this location. And so every few thousand years, there will be like a rift that breaks open in the tectonic plate, and that's where these volcanoes come from. So the ropey lava that we've been dealing with almost this entire hike, called pahoho, and that stuff comes from very liquid lava that doesn't have a lot of gas in it, so it flows very nicely. This stuff is called and it gets its name because if you try and walk on it barefoot, it's much rougher to walk on, and it really slows you down a lot. The exciting thing about finding it doesn't flow very far, meaning we're pretty close to the vent. I think I left the trail, so I'm looking at my map here on my phone. I'm gonna head that direction, see if I can connect back with the trail again. Holy cow, look at this. This goes deep down in there into a cave. I don't want to end up on the news, but I do kind of want to see what's down there. As the Boy Scouts say, be prepared. I'm glad I have a headlamp on me. You can see some ice down there. In these lava caves, ice will stay year-round because it's so well insulated. Oh yeah, that keeps going. That goes far. I'm not in too much of a hurry to get stuck in a cave though, so I think I'm going to turn around for now. Wow, look at that. That is so cool. All right, time to escape. This is kind of cool. It keeps going in that direction too. Oh man. This is just liquid lava. And so buried under all this pahoho, there's some massive volcanic vent where all this lava erupted from. There's another tube I was talking about. You are not going to believe this view. Doesn't that just look like a different planet? That is just incredible. Well, the first half of my goal is done. I made it to the crater. The second half of my goal was to cook lunch here, so I'm going to get that done. Whoa, this is crazy. Oh my gosh. You know that vent I was talking about? I found it. Holy cow. I hope you're not afraid of heights. Look at this. That is crazy. That was worth the hike right there. Man, this rock shifts and I fall in there, I'm dead. Not super fancy, but I think it'll be really yummy. All right, let's see if this soup's warm. That is so good. Everything tastes better after you've hiked 5 miles. Well, as the crow flies, I'm only about 4.5 miles from the car. As the Logan walks, though, I'm probably like 5.5. Something interesting about these are actually prickly pear cactus, and they're not nearly as big as the kind you'd find in Arizona. Cut the pad open, there will be this slime inside that you can apply on your sunburns. It'll act exactly like aloe vera acts. It's a good thing to know if you're out here camping or something and you end up with a sunburn. We're back in territory, and my feet are feeling it a lot more this way around. There's supposed to be 2 major lava tube systems up here by the summit, much bigger than the one that we found. To protect bats and other things like that, they generally don't disclose where the actual caves are, but I know that they're somewhere in this lava field. Time to check the map. I'm pretty lost. Looks like I'm like 50 yards too far west. Aha! We're back. I don't think I've ever gotten lost on the trail more than this one. I mean, literally like 4 or 5 times every mile I will get lost. It's kind of interesting. Got a marker here, and so we get a lot of foot traffic. The rocks that people step on a lot turn red, and then the rest of the rocks stay black. I don't really know what causes that. If you know, let me know in the comments. That looks like a pretty cool cave. These don't get any less nerve-wracking to cross over. Okay. 3 miles to the trailhead. In my experience, it's closer to 4. My legs are feeling really good. My feet are a different story. This is some rough stuff to be walking on. Wonder how far down that goes. I think my feet need me to get back to my car. This is really cool, I have to show you. Lava tubes have a tendency to collapse in on themselves, and so they create these kind of holes in the desert. Sometimes they can be a lot deeper than this. And so they found out in here in the desert, some of these collapsed lava tubes are just full of bison bones. People that used to live here would scare the herds into these holes, and then they'd be trapped there, and they could kill them and eat them. Every time I take a little side quest to check one of those things out, I get lost. Well, I'm back at the 2-mile sign. By the way, if you like outdoor content like this, I've got tons of videos on this channel and a lot more coming, so make sure to subscribe. Alrighty, about a mile back to the car. We're getting really close. Hallelujah. Well, that was a really fun hike. You know, it actually wasn't super physically demanding for such a long hike. That being said, the route finding was hard, and the giant chasms of death were a little bit difficult. So if I didn't have any nerve endings in my feet, I'd probably rate it right about here on the difficulty scale. That being said, I do have nerve endings in my feet, and they hurt really bad. So it's probably closer to hard. Totally a doable hike though, and I'm very glad that I did it. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.